main issue I talk about is that if I do want to put down my phone because I'm spending too much time on it, or if anyone around me does in my generation, we have no alternative to turn to. There's no in-person social life because my generation has never experienced that.
Welcome to the Healthy Screen Habits Podcast. I'm Hillary Wilkinson. Whether you're starting your parenting journey with a newborn or looking to connect with your teen on technology, let's learn some new healthy screen habits together. Reconnect Movement creates in-person communities to detox from distractions, make friends, and just kind of hang out. Recognizing that being on social media currently feels like a requirement for today's teens and young adults to socialize, Reconnect Movement serves to provide offline balance for those who just don't want to be on social media. My guest today started Reconnect Movement while he was in high school. He noticed that people had stopped talking in person and wanted to help students really interact face to face. He now runs the organization on college campuses. Welcome to Healthy Screen Habit, Sean Killingsworth.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sean, what happened that served as this sort of wake up call to make you recognize the need for change surrounding social media in your life?
Yeah, so this is there's two tiers to my experience with this wake up call. And my first kind of experience was when I had my iPhone with social media. I got my first iPhone in eighth grade, but I got my first social media in ninth grade, or I really started using it in ninth grade. And I just realized how it consumed me. It consumed my time. It gave me so much anxiety to be on Snapchat, sending pictures of myself, and I found myself on Instagram wasting so like hours and hours of my day and comparing myself to other people and their lives and feeling bad about myself. And I was just, it was, my phone became such a source of negative feelings, wasting of time and all this. I just kind of rejected it. I was like, I don't want to be on my phone. I tried to do a bunch of things to change my phone habits, but I always found myself going back. So I tried to delete Snapchat. I would add it back to talk to my friends. I would try to delete Instagram. I'd add it back because someone told me about a post. I would, try to charge my phone outside of my room, but then I'd be, on a FaceTime call and it'd end up in my room again. So it was kind of like felt inescapable. And so I chose to get rid of my iPhone entirely when I was 15, going in my sophomore year of high school, and I got a flip phone. So that was kind of when the second wake up call came about because what I thought that was going to solve my problems. And because I was sick of socializing on my phone, I never found Snapchat to be satisfying. I was like, I'm going to get a flip phone. I'll talk to people. It'll be great. And then when I got a flip phone and I went into school with no social media presence, no connection to the internet, and no idea what was going on, I became isolated in a whole different new way because what I discovered was no one was socializing in the real world anymore.
Mhm.
The thing that was much more important and much more impactful for everyone in my peers in high school social life was social media and was their social media presence. So I experienced a lot of isolation trying to make friends without social media. That's when I started the Reconnect movement to find other students that wanted to begin being part of socializing without our phones.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that you talk about this experience and kind of like the vibe, if you will. You use the structure and the concept of a social ecosystem, which I really like these analogies. Can you talk about this sort of what brings us to that sort of social desert created by social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So social ecosystem is a big part of the analogies that I use to describe my experience when I was in high school trying to socialize without a phone.
Mhm.
Because the biggest thing I discovered was that there was this online social life, and the action of all my friends and all the people that were in my school, all the people I wanted to become friends with, they were all participating in, high school social life, which is something that to many generations before is set in stone. Like, you go, you TP houses, you egg cars, ding dong ditch houses, you go to parties. It's this like, or that's that side of it. Of course, that's kind of movieified, but you have your friends, you hang out, you stay up all night, you do, stuff like that. And that's kind of the assumption. And that's what I expected as well. But when I went to school, I discovered it had been replaced by this online, kind of isolated right next to each other on our phones, using our phones. And we think that what is on our phone is real, but we're ignoring what's right in front of us, which is what we could be doing, which is like having these great fun times together. So when I discovered that everyone was kind of in this online social world, I tried to, like I said, got a flip phone and go back to the regular one, but I realized it had been lost. So
Mm.
that's kind of where the social wasteland is the term I use to describe the experience that I felt when I tried to relive what I kind of described, the talking to girls and asking them on dates and going and sharing a milkshake with, two straws and all that, like this high school that I wanted to
You
experience.
wanted your Lady in the Tramp moment, Sean. You wanted
I
your
did.
your spaghetti noodles.
I totally did. I wanted my high school movie-like experience. And when I tried to experience that because I saw everyone was just zombied on their phones, when I tried to create that for myself, I experienced this desert of opportunities for connection because this digital world had become the only option and there was no alternative. So that's really that became the problem. Was it wasn't that we were on our phones, it
Mhm.
was that the real main issue I talk about is that if I do want to put down my phone because I'm spending too much time on it, or if anyone around me does in my generation, we have no alternative to turn to. There's no in-person social life because my generation has never experienced that.
I have heard you on different recordings, et cetera, call it the social desert, but I think like this sort of dystopic view of social wasteland, it drives home the urgency to I understand why you had the need to create a group called Reconnect because that's what you were looking to do. And I know that, you know, if anybody wants to kind of have a middle-aged experience of what it must be like to
Right.
try to connect with, others, because I think it's easy to forget, what it's like to be in a teenager slash young adult's feet once you crest the other side into career and
Mhm.
home and family, once you're on that other side. But if you just simply, I'm picturing standing in line at, oh, I shop at Trader Joe's. So standing in line at Trader Joe's, and my daughter and I will often play a game where I quiz her on I think it's important to know the names of flowers. So we'll invariably
I love that.
the floral section is near the front of Trader Joe's. And I'll stand there and I'll say, like, can you find the gladiolas? I'm like, okay, you see those pinks over there? What are they called? But this originated, it used to be, I mean, I feel like when I was growing up, like the old folks would talk about, well, I remember when gum could be bought for a nickel. And I'm like, I remember when you stood in grocery stores and chatted in
Mhm.
line. I mean, people, it's kind of like this art of small talk, which is incredibly painful. I understand that, but it's also, going the way of the dodo bird. So when my daughter and I like will stand in line and do the flower game, like a lot of it draws these looks of curiosity almost from other people of like, what are you doing? Because we're talking. Very interesting.
Yes. That is definitely a phenomenon and something I would call, that is an attribute of the wasteland. That is a quality of the wasteland is when you are, first of all, small talk is like you're saying, like very uncommon now, and
Hmm.
seen almost as like scary and like, why would you do that? And so when someone like yourself and your daughter are talking and pointing out flowers and like connecting instead of in a time where now it's so normal to just pull out your phone because it's like a meaningless moment or a useless moment. Uh it's odd, and everybody around you in physical space is oftentimes, even if they're not on their phone, they're like, it's isolation. It's this odd feeling that we're in. I mean, I can't speak for other countries, but from where I'm around, like most people seem to be so isolated. And if they're not actually on their phone, they kind of emulate that. And so what I experienced in school when I was basically sticking out like a sore thumb all the time because everybody, I mean, my generation obviously has the most technology use. And so everyone's on their phone at all times.
Hmm.
And it was like when I would try, so if I'm in a hallway waiting for a class, this happened, by the way. And there's a line, this teacher's late, the door's locked, but we're all here for this class. There's like 12 of us in line for this class. And I'm sitting there, I have a flip phone, I've got nothing to do. Every single kid, I took a picture of it. Every single kid was on their phone with their headphones in. And so the hallway was silent. And all the other
It's
classes started.
creepy, Sean. It's
Mhm.
creepy to walk around a college campus or a high school campus
Yes.
and have it be quiet
Yes.
because those were places of cacophony, of noise so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. You're right. It is creepy and dystopian. And so I thought, okay, well, I want to overcome this because I'm the guy with the flip phone. I should be doing this. And I tried to start a conversation with this guy next to me. I just like, I don't know, complimented his shirt or something. And I remember like looking up and being like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you singling me out? Because as soon as I said that to him, everyone else looked up from their phones like, what's going on? Like looking up to judge me and like look at me like I was all of a sudden on a stage to everybody just for trying to connect. And this kid was also like, why are you embarrassing me? Like, I don't want to be a part of this. And that's when I realized, because I love to connect with people, and that's when I realized it was out of my hands. It was no longer
Mm.
that it was I spent too much time on my phone, and if I got off my phone, then I would be able to experience this, socializing again. It was that the environment had changed. And because it had been so long without an alternative, that it was out of my hands. That's why I had to create Reconnect as a new environment.
Okay, so when we come back, let's talk some more about how Reconnect Movement is seeking to create flourishing social ecosystems on college campuses.
At what age should I give my child a smartphone? How much screen time should I allow each day? What are the best filters to use on my family's devices? Sound familiar? These questions and more are answered at the Healthy Screen Habits website. We've curated the best articles, books, videos, and many other resources to help you figure out how you want to use technology in your life. Click on the Awareness section to learn about the issues and dangers surrounding screen use. Then click on the Tools page to download printables you can use with your family today, including the Healthy Screen Habits Family Technology Plan. Visit our website at www.healthyscreenhabits.org for the resources and tools you need to get started.
I'm speaking with Sean Killingsworth, the founder of Reconnect Movement. With the mission of creating a phone-free social community at every major university, Sean now runs the Reconnect Movement at University of Florida, University of Central Florida, and Rollins College. And from what I understand, he's looking to expand. So let's talk about that. It's the relative start of the school year. And I know you don't have current numbers on club members, but could you share some maybe from last year, or how big are these Reconnect movements? movement groups on campuses, and like, how do you advertise? Because I'm pretty sure it's not on social media, or is it? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So we currently have our largest chapter is at University of Florida, and we just started last semester in the spring. It was our first semester that we were on, and we have 215 members in our group on campus. And we've had our largest event was 55 people, and it's been like the biggest whirlwind of a club that we've had so far. And it's been cool to kind of see that happen and see the excitement for them, because other organizations, after seeing our club, just a lot of excitement and participation like kind of begin to be created around our club. Other organizations reached out like saying they would make their events phone free if we advertise their events to our club. And that was really cool because it showed that they were like, whoa, this is working. Like, this makes sense. Like, I want to join into that. And that's what I would want. That's what I want the most. We advertise through our group chats that we create. We advertise through flyers, and we do advertise through social media. So I personally, a lot, this is something that comes up a lot. A lot of people say, oh, well, you're on social media yourself, or you use social media to market your movement. Like, aren't you such a hypocrite? And I see no problem using social media as a tool to spread anyone's message. And it's all about you using it as a tool as best you can, because most of us might have seen The Social Dilemma and seen how it can be predatory and not just a tool. But I look at it as, if any of you have ever seen The Matrix, you got to go into the Matrix to bring the people out of the Matrix. So that's how I see it with
You're
that.
you're freeing the pod people.
Yes, yes, exactly. You have to plug in order to go. That's where people are. So I see it as a strength. And what I like to do is create our social media accounts as reconnected social media. So, we never post anyone's face without consent. We never post pictures of people unless it is a consented group photo. So no one has to worry about having a picture of them they don't like posted on social media, or being, while they're at an event, they don't have to worry about being taken a picture and posted, because that too also contributes to the anxiety that my generation feels constantly of the fear of being posted. So we remove that.
Oh, I think that is something that doesn't get talked about enough, is this performative aspect of life that occurs from the sort of infiltration of social media to all areas, where like I would think that a lot of things that you do on Reconnect are things that a lot of times people would typically be posting about them because they're cool and they're fun and they're active, and people like portraying that side of their life. They don't take, it's very rare that you have posts of people doing laundry. It's, they want to be
Yes.
doing cool things, and Reconnect is all about not just, reconnecting socially, but also it's kind of like being outside and engaged in your environment. So do I can imagine that people are trying some things for the first time, and with that, they're probably nervous about looking like an idiot. I mean, because when you try
Most
something
definitely.
for the first time, you you're not good at it.
Yes. It can be very challenging for first time members, especially people who are not so outgoing naturally, or maybe are more of an introverted person. But you got to think about it. Like, I hear so many adults say, oh man, I'm so glad I didn't have social media when I was a kid. Like, I'm so glad I never had that when I was in college. Oh my gosh, and it's like, and they do genuinely have that reaction. And I mean, we have it.
Hmm.
That visceral reaction of where you're saying like, "Oh, I'm so glad I never had that when I was in college." Like, that's our college experience, is
Right.
having it. We never got what you're saying you're so glad you got, and you're wishing you never had it. Like, and so can you try to imagine like everything you do can be recorded, and I know everybody talks about this, but the level of on that we have to be is just it's not human. It's not a human level of anxiety that a human should be experiencing, because everything we say is recorded on record. So anything we text or Snapchat or post is on the record. So anything you say is completely permanent, meaning you're always watching your words. Anything you do, especially if you're taking a chance, being goofy, trying to be yourself, trying to do something funny, is going to be recorded and documented and posted and then be on the record as well forever for the rest of your life. And also, whenever you do want to do something goofy, you're thinking about recording it yourself as well. So you're dampening your own experiences as well. And all of this ends up being on the record. And in the back of your mind as well, you're thinking, I could get kicked out of college for making a joke. I could lose my jobs in the future. I could be exercised from society. And these are just 19-year-old college students trying to find themselves and trying to try things and be funny, and all the things that the lifelong memories you cherish that are being snuffed by the over documentation and over presence of technology. So that's one of the many reasons why my generation how I call it, the social ecosystem has been devastated, because
Mhm.
that is one aspect that has burn down the forests of people being able to be goofy and have fun. So that is what Reconnect is there to rebuild, is give a student somewhere to go where they can take a deep breath and relax and finally be away from they can take a chance and be goofy and make a joke without feeling like they're going to be recorded and made fun of for it.
Do you have advice for people who feel like they'd like to get kind of out of the desert and off of social media or gaming? I'm talking about like teens and young adults specifically. What's your advice for that?
So, like I said, it is challenging if you are starting by yourself. Um, However, I think one of the important things to remember is you're definitely not alone in your thinking. If you are the high schooler or the college student that is thinking like, man, like our phones are taking away connection from us. We need to be connecting without them, or, I want to be off my phone more and I want to find people that also want to be off their phone more. For me, I felt so alone at the time, but I quickly discovered there were actually a lot of people that would stand up and say, "Yes, that's it. I agree. I feel the same way. I want to get off my phone too." And I eventually made friends. And the thing that I did when I made my friends that helped them also want to be off their phones, I didn't ask them to get off their phones, because that's getting into other people's behavior. And it's very important when you ask them to get off their phone. It's not just get off their phone. It's like, put down your social life. For me, that could be the girl they like, that could be their mom texting them, that could be there's very important things for their social life. So I started to point out, and I started to say, like, guys, I really feel like, when I'm on my phone around other people, or when I find myself in a group of people that are all on their phones, like, I feel so disconnected, and I feel like we could be having so much more fun if we weren't recording things, and if we were living in the moment more, and if we were able to do that and experience, life without these constant distractions from each other, living in the moment. If you start saying things like that, speak your mind, say what you feel, and if you have the courage to speak up and be a leader in that way, then you'd be surprised the people who will start to come out and say, "Me too. I want to also do that." And you know, we have a lot of social anxiety in our generation, so that might be
Mhm.
something you're facing as well. Facing the fear of rejection, of what if I say that I want to hang out without my phone and someone is like, "You're crazy, I'm not doing that." It's not the end of the world. Like, you're going to survive, and that person's rejection of what you want for your social life and what you want out of your friends is only going to get you closer to those people that you're really going to click with, that are going to be on the same page as you. So, I would say, speak your mind, speak about how you want to live your life without your phone, and you'd be surprised. There's a lot of kids in our generation that are subscribing to that belief
I
and that lifestyle. It's
I
becoming very popular.
totally agree. I totally agree. When I go in to do high school workshops, the thing they want is like tools of how do I, they want specifics on, okay, so you're telling me to mute notifications. Show me how. How do I, oh, go
Mhm.
grayscale. How do I do this? They want tools where the problem is not technology. I think everybody, well, I mean, that's a loaded statement. The challenge, I should say, is that technology has somehow just infiltrated everything, and we just want tech to stay in its lane. We
Mhm.
want to be intentional with its use, but still have the human experience. So I agree with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So we have to take a break, but when we come back, I am going to ask Sean Killingsworth for his healthy screen habit. We love what we do, and we wouldn't be able to do it without the generous donations provided by our listeners and followers. We want to extend special thanks to the Doctors Petty for their unwavering support of the podcast and organization. If you'd like to make a difference and contribute to the education and empowerment of families building their healthiest screen habits, please go to healthyscreenhabits.org, find the Take Action tab, and scroll down and click the donate button. 100% of your donation will be used to spread awareness and bring families the tools they need to develop healthy screen habits. So, my guest today is Sean Killingsworth, founder of Reconnect Movement and skater. Sean, what's your best skate move?
So I would say tray flip probably is my
Okay.
favorite one. It's like a kick flip, but it also moves 360 horizontally, and
Okay.
that's a really satisfying one.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation because I'm only barely hanging on with understanding what you're talking about.
It
Uh,
is a whole deal.
Excellent. Okay. On every episode of the Healthy Screen Habits podcast, I ask each guest for a healthy screen habit, which is going to be a tip or takeaway our listeners can put into place nearly immediately. What's yours?
Okay, so I would say that my healthy screen habit would be the solution to the kind of the some of the problems that I pointed out in this podcast, like the fact that, my generation is facing this issue of we don't have an alternative to online social life. So if we put our phones down, we don't have somewhere to turn to experience that connection. So I would say the best healthy screen habit you can use to combat that is to create a space, create a place that can be that alternative to the online social life. So that could look like, if you have younger kids, having a birthday party for your kid and then you make it for your kid. So you create a phone free social space for him or her, and you say it's a phone free birthday party and you make it on you're as the parent, so then kind of get the parents but that could be a chance for you to create that alternative, and then all these kids are going to see what it feels like to not be distracted on their iPads while they're hanging out. Or if you have older kids, you could do a picnic with your family where everyone leaves their phones in the car. Or if you are a young adult, you can try to be a leader in your friend group and say, guys, let's hang out and let's leave our phones in the car, or let's, if we're going out to dinner, let's put all our phones in the center of the table or something like that. Because those experiences without your phone is what's going to show you that those can be so valuable as the alternative to the online social life we experience.
Awesome. As always, you can find a complete transcript of this show and a link to Sean's movement by visiting the show notes for this episode. You do this by going to healthyscreenhabits.org, click the podcast button, and scroll to find this episode. Sean, thank you so much for all your work in trying to get people reconnected and to create space.
Thank you so much. I am happy to be here. This has been awesome. I really appreciate it.
For more information, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Healthy Screen Habits. Make sure to visit our website, healthyscreenhabits.org, where you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or via RSS, so you'll never miss an episode. It's free, it's fun, and you get a healthy new screen habit each week. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you giving us a quick rating. It really does help other people find us and spread the word of healthy screen habits. Or if you'd simply like to tell a friend, we'd love that too. I so appreciate you spending your time with me this week, and I look forward to learning more healthy habits together.